Welcome, seekers of truth and bearers of light. There comes a moment in the journey of the awakened when the world itself seems to shift. When reality bends, time feels different, and you sense an invisible force guiding you toward your ultimate purpose. The most profound revelations do not arrive with a whisper, but with a storm that shakes the foundations of your soul. If you have felt unexplainable shifts in your perception, if your intuition has sharpened beyond logic, if you feel like a stranger among those you once called your own, you may be standing at the very edge of your final awakening. Stay with me as we uncover the rare, overlooked signs that signal the end of your spiritual metamorphosis. And before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, because understanding your awakening is only the beginning. Time doesn't just feel fast or slow. It feels non-existent. You experience moments of total stillness, where past, present, and future seem to dissolve into one. You are no longer trapped by schedules, but move with divine timing. The concept of waiting feels foreign to you, as if all things are already happening simultaneously. You may wake up in the morning and feel like days have passed since yesterday. Or you may lose track of whether something happened last year or just last week. This isn't mere forgetfulness. It's a shift in your perception of time itself. It's as if your soul is no longer bound by the human measurement of hours and minutes, but instead follows a cosmic rhythm. You start to understand that time was never linear. It was only perceived that way. Your decisions are no longer dictated by urgency, but by alignment. You know when to act, when to pause, and when to let things unfold. You might also begin to experience strange synchronicities, where events line up so perfectly that it feels as if the universe itself is orchestrating your path. You may feel an inexplicable distance from people you once felt deeply connected to. They may re-enter your life unexpectedly, but their presence feels like an echo, something you once resonated with, but no longer do. The conversations feel empty, the energy mismatched. It's as if they are trying to pull you back into a version of yourself that no longer exists. This isn't about resentment or superiority. It's about frequency. You are vibrating at a different level now, and those who remain anchored in an older reality may feel like ghosts from a past life. You may even find that their words sound distant, as if spoken through a veil. This is a sign that your consciousness has shifted so significantly that old connections no longer serve your journey. You don't need to force detachment. It happens naturally, like a tree shedding leaves in autumn. Your reflection no longer looks the same, not physically, but energetically. You may catch glimpses of yourself in the mirror and feel a sense of unfamiliarity, as if the person looking back isn't quite the same as before. There is an undeniable presence in your eyes, something deeper, something wiser. This change in perception happens because you are no longer bound by the identity you once carried. Your soul has expanded beyond your physical self. You may notice that your expression seems more serene, more knowing. Or perhaps your face appears different under different lighting, as if you were seeing multiple versions of yourself coexisting. This is not an illusion. It is a reflection of your shifting consciousness. You may also find yourself less attached to your physical appearance, no longer seeing yourself as merely a body, but as something much vaster. This doesn't mean neglecting self-care, but rather seeing your form as a temporary vessel rather than your ultimate identity. The mirror no longer defines you. Your presence does. You understand symbols, synchronicities, and even the unspoken messages in silence. You no longer need explanations. Your spirit knows before your mind does. This shift is one of the most profound because it means your consciousness has attuned itself to the divine language of the universe. Numbers, recurring symbols, dreams, and sudden intuitive downloads become part of your everyday experience. You no longer feel the need to second-guess your gut feelings because they prove themselves right time and time again. This isn't just intuition. It's an entirely new way of interacting with reality. You may begin to see messages in places where others see nothing, patterns in nature, repeated words from different sources, or even an inner knowing that something is about to happen before it does. Beyond that, you might develop a sensitivity to energy itself. Entering a room, you can feel what has transpired there, as if the walls carry a residue of past emotions. You instinctively know when someone is speaking from their higher self or from a place of fear. Even silence begins to communicate with you, revealing answers you never thought to ask for. The universe is no longer a series of random events. It is a dialogue, and you are finally hearing it clearly. Worldly concerns, status, material possessions, societal validation begin to feel like distractions. You realize you are chasing illusions that no longer hold power over you. Things you once valued, titles, luxury, external praise, lose their meaning. Instead, you crave something deeper, something that can't be measured by societal standards. This is not about rejecting the material world, but rather seeing it for what it is, a temporary experience. Money, success, and recognition may still flow into your life, but they no longer define your sense of worth. You start making choices based on alignment rather than ambition. The desire for superficial validation fades, replaced by a hunger for meaning. You may even notice that material things begin to come effortlessly to you, no longer through struggle, but through effortless manifestation. This stage also comes with a sense of detachment, not indifference, but a higher understanding that nothing external can truly fulfill you. You no longer grasp for things outside yourself to create happiness. Instead, you realize that peace was within you all along. The illusions of scarcity and competition fall away, and you begin operating from a place of trust. You understand that abundance is a natural state, and it flows not from force, but from alignment. Fear doesn't vanish, it transforms. You no longer fear the unknown. Instead, you fear stagnation. You would rather walk into the abyss of the divine than remain in a cage of certainty. This is perhaps one of the most significant shifts in your awakening journey. Instead of avoiding discomfort, you embrace it. Instead of clinging to safety, you seek transformation. This doesn't mean recklessness, it means trust. You trust that whatever is beyond the horizon is meant for you, even if you don't yet understand it. The fear that once paralyzed you now fuels you. Challenges become initiations rather than obstacles. You welcome the unknown because you understand that the greatest revelations emerge from it. In this stage, you may find yourself drawn to experiences that challenge your old limits. You might travel without a plan, pursue a new path without certainty, or release a past version of yourself without hesitation. You no longer need guarantees because you trust the process itself. What once terrified you now excites you because you have outgrown the illusion that comfort is the goal of life. Nature no longer feels like a background, it feels like a presence. You feel spoken to by the wind, the trees, the water, It's as if creation itself acknowledges your awakening. When you step outside, you no longer see nature as something separate from you. It feels alive, as if you are part of it. You begin to feel the rhythm of the earth, sensing when the seasons are about to change, not just by the calendar, but by the energy in the air. The sound of birds, the way the leaves move, the pull of the moon. All of it starts to feel like a conversation rather than random occurrences. You might feel an urge to walk barefoot on the ground, spend more time near water, or simply sit in silence and let the natural world communicate with you. This shift marks a deep connection to the divine design of the universe. The distractions of human-made structures and artificial environments become more apparent to you. You may find yourself drawn away from chaotic city life and into the quiet of forests, mountains, or oceans. Even a simple houseplant may begin to feel like a companion rather than just a decorative object. Your perception of sound also changes. The mechanical hum of the world, traffic, electronics, constant chatter becomes more noticeable and, at times, overwhelming. Meanwhile, natural sounds, the wind, rain, or rustling leaves, become deeply soothing. You are tuning into the purest frequencies, and with that comes a longing for environments that nourish your soul rather than drain it. Small talk and meaningless conversations become unbearable. Silence feels more fulfilling than forced words. You only seek depth, truth, and purpose in every interaction. The need for surface-level discussions disappears, replaced by a hunger for something real. You no longer entertain gossip, trivial arguments, or words spoken just to fill space. You start to notice that many conversations are distractions, ways to avoid the deeper questions of life. When people speak to you, you can sense whether their words carry authenticity or are merely societal scripts. You may find yourself speaking less, not out of shyness, but because you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to those who do not understand. This also applies to digital interactions. Social media, mindless scrolling, and shallow entertainment begin to lose their appeal. You may find yourself turning off notifications, deleting apps, or limiting your exposure to constant external noise. Silence, once uncomfortable, now feels like a refuge. This phase can make you feel distant from others, but it is not loneliness, it is clarity. You begin to attract those who vibrate on the same frequency as you, creating connections that feel effortless and meaningful. The emptiness you once felt when engaging in small talk is replaced by a deep sense of connection when you finally meet those who speak the language of the soul. You start receiving guidance through dreams, sudden insights, and even strangers who appear at the perfect moment. The divine communicates with you in ways the world cannot explain. This is not coincidence. This is synchronicity, a sign that you are being led. You may find that your dreams become vivid and prophetic, revealing truths before they unfold in the physical world. Strangers may approach you with messages that seem eerily relevant to your life. Books may fall off shelves. Lyrics may strike a deep chord. Numbers may appear repeatedly, all signaling that you are exactly where you need to be. This is because your connection to the unseen world has strengthened. You are no longer just reacting to life. You are co-creating it with divine forces. Instead of seeking answers, you allow them to come to you. The more you trust, the more the universe responds, guiding you effortlessly toward your destiny. You no longer identify with a name, a past, or even a body. You exist, but not as a singular being. You feel part of something vast, eternal, and uncontainable. This is perhaps the most profound realization of all. You are no longer defined by the roles you once played: child, worker, friend, citizen. Those identities seem distant now, like costumes you once wore but have since outgrown. This does not mean you lose yourself. It means you find your true self. You recognize that your existence extends far beyond this physical form. The fear of death dissolves because you understand that you were never truly confined to this body to begin with. Your ego, once dominant, becomes a whisper rather than a command. You begin to live in a state of deep surrender, no longer struggling against the flow of life. You understand that you are both the drop and the ocean, both the observer and the observed. Nothing can truly shake you anymore because you see through the illusion of separation. This stage is not about withdrawing from life, but about engaging with it in a new way. You move through the world with a quiet power, knowing that you are not just in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself. If these signs resonate with you, know this: you are not lost. You are not breaking. You are stepping into the final phase of your awakening, where the self dissolves and truth reveals itself. The path ahead is not easy, but it is divine. Do not fear the silence, the solitude, or the strangeness of your transformation. The chosen are not meant to blend in. They are meant to rise. If you've made it this far, you are ready. Subscribe, because your journey does not end here. This is just the beginning. Until next time, walk boldly into the unknown.